If you're presenting, I can't hear anything, so please turn up the volume.
Hi, Tammy. Can you hear me? This is Anna Killian.
Now I can. Thank you so much, Anna.
Hi, is the board starting the meeting?
It's a great question.
I'm just waiting for the board
Can't
to
hear.
trigger us and we can start. I don't know why the presentation moves forward. Can we go back
Yeah.
to the previous slide? I'd like to do an introduction of who's here and who is presenting. Who
Yeah,
has
I
control?
think they're not ready. I think they just queued up, but
Okay.
I will chat the host and find that out myself.
All right, Tammy, let me know and I will start the presentation for GDC. Thank you. Hi, Tammy. I'm not sure if the board has anything they would like to speak about before I start the presentation for our 60 Center Street project, or should I just jump right in?
No, let's wait because if we
Okay.
can't if we need to be able to hear the room and they need to be able to hear us. So I have a feeling they have not unmiked the room.
Okay, I'll wait for you to let me know. Thank you.
We're on mic. Not mic.
Aha. Are we at quorum? Sorry, we couldn't hear a thing. Now we can hear you. Do we have quorum that we can start?
Well, we have one member that's gonna come in about 10 minutes, and the chair has decided to move on with the presentation. If that's okay. Well, the chair said it's okay. I assume it is.
Okie doke.
Anna, go ahead.
Tammy doesn't object. Anna, please start.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Community Board One, for allowing us to present tonight. My name is Anna Killian. I am the Outreach Coordinator for New York City Department of Design and Construction, Office of Communication, Outreach, and Notification for Public Buildings. Tonight I have with me is Luana Lins from Thornton Tomasetti, who will talk to the presentation for the New York County Courthouse building envelope at 60 Center Street. Luana, can you please start the presentation?
Yes, so next.
Thank you.
So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for having us here today. So I'll talk a little bit about the project. So
Maybe you can just, there we go.
speak it back. Okay, can you hear me? So 60 Center located.
We can hear you, but we're not on page one. I'm sorry. Whoever's in control of the
No,
presentation.
this is good. This is good.
Okay, sorry.
I asked her to, it's okay.
She wants us to take care of this. I know. But I understand.
So 60 Center, located at Lower Manhattan between Pearl Street, Wall Street, and it's right across Foley Square. So it hosts the New York State Supreme Court and County Clerk's office. And it is the courthouse, and the site is part of the 1997 Foley Square reconstruction, which includes the solar ray pavement emanating from the actual plaza into the sidewalks, and including 60 Center. So you can all see there in green, there are the rays that emanate, that go towards 60 Center. The design also include these bronze medallions. So 60 Center property actually has 4 of these rays, and one of the bronze medallions. The building next.
I'm sorry, because we're just fiddling around here.
The building was built in 1925. It was designed by architect Guy Lowell in the neoclassic style. It is a remarkable example of civil architecture It is an individual landmark. It was landmarked in 1966. It's also listed in the National Register of Historic Places. The street elevations are mainly granite, and they feature Corinthian fluted columns. Here you have on your left a historic photo from 1927, and on your right a more recent photo, 2020. So you can see that is pretty much the same, but you can see how the site, the difference there. Next. So here you have the existing site plan, and this project is a little different because it will be reviewed by multiple parties. You have the majority of the scope of the work falls under Landmarks Preservation Commission. Because the site is historic and as well as the building, so anything within the property line is under their jurisdiction. Outside the property line, because you have artwork, which is the solar rays and the medallion, that falls under PDC, the Public Design Commission jurisdiction. You also have the New York Parks because of the northeast corner there of the property that's overseen by the New York Parks. So we also had them review and have comments. The comments from parks are actually reflected in this submission. On the right here, you can see a bird view from Google. It's a hexagon plan, as you can see there. You do have the main entrance facing Center Street. There's a service entrance all the way in opposite from Center Street there. Every single face of the building has these large window wells. We'll go over in a little bit. In the interior, you have 6 courtyards that mostly the finishes are buff brick with marble copings. The exterior is really just granite. The top floors are terracotta that really resemble granite. You do have 56 roofs at this building. Out of those, 46 are flat roofs, and the interior, the circular roofs are copper to have a dome. It's really a big building. The property, like the site as well as the building, they are in need of repairs. The sidewalks, the walkways at the plaza are in poor condition. You do have spalling, bluestone and concrete, as well as the trees and shrubs are overgrown. Therefore, and this is all part of the project. Next.
I just want to stop you there. What part of this project requires a public hearing? What is the scope item that is not staff level, or what are we here to give our?
Because this project has to be reviewed by PDC.
Okay,
And PDC requires the community board.
okay, so.
Presentation.
Just-
I'm sorry, I would like, if we can please get through the presentation and save questions for the end, so that we can have an even clear flow for everybody in the audience. Thank you.
Yes, but I want to say, please,
I can.
not in an offensive
No,
way,
we live here,
pick up
we
the
know it.
pace, because I don't see much here that's really in our.
Right.
Okay, we're going to get through the whole presentation, so some of your questions might be answered on the next slide. So can we just please keep the questions to the end of the presentation? Thank you. Please,
Yes.
Luana, move forward.
We can.
So because we have multiple jurisdictions, it's mostly the site falls under the Public Design Commission, and therefore they do require a community board meeting for anything that is PDC related.
What part of this site is historic?
It's actually because going back here, and if you go to slide 2. Slide 2, sorry, slide.
Next one?
Yes, the one before, there we go. So Foley Square was redesigned back in 1997. And you do have these rays that emanate from the sculpture of Foley Square. And they actually reach multiple sidewalks across the site. So that's considered artwork. And because it's artwork, it falls in the PDC jurisdiction. Also because it's on the public right of way, the sidewalk. So therefore, everything has to be reviewed by PDC and also the community because it cannot be changed. Or if there are changes, which I'm proposing a slight change, it has to be reviewed. Okay, so going back to the project, the project is focusing on a complete envelope rehabilitation of 60 Center to address causes of water infiltration, drainage, and overall deterioration of facades. Here it's a lot of information, but we'll talk in detail here what is mostly visible, which is the main entrance resetting and the landscaping there. So if you move to the next slide.
Next slide.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. This gives you overall view there of the main entrance. So what we are doing here is there are multiple leaks underneath the monumental steps, and you can also see some of the deterioration there of the stones and the makeshift railing. So therefore, part of the work is to remove, salvage, and repair the granite, replace the waterproofing at these monumental steps, and reset everything. Original material, just with some repairs. As you can see, it's falling off. Now, as part of the changes here, and if you go to the next slide.
Is that liming up there?
Yes, yes.
We will clean that and make repos or whatever it takes, not to have that.
Yeah, that's part of the job to be able to repoint everything. The cleaning is being negotiated, but I agree that it needs clean.
We would like that.
Yes.
That's what interests us.
Yes.
Otherwise, TT's a reputable firm and they only do what is right. Okay, so the liming will be cleaned and you will put back everything that.
Yeah, too much. In reality, when we're done, the goal is leave like the beaches, right? Leave no footprint.
Right.
So that's the idea.
Oh,
With the
correct.
exception of these changes, next slide, because so on your left, you have the existing condition there. You do have a
Yeah.
historic guardrail that will be reinstalled, will be painted, will be refurbished and reinstalled in the same location. However, this guardrail is no longer code compliant by nowadays standards, right? Because I'm changing the waterproofing, it kicks in the New York City code for safety. So therefore, what we are proposing is a new guardrail that is glass and bronze, but very minimal design, so that it's not very visible. You will see that it's something new. It's not from 1926, but it's, it's not gonna compete.
We saw these and you're talking to all three architects.
There you go. And then the other,
Viewed your drawings.
the other change there is a new ADA railing, because you could see that you have a pipe right now at the courthouse. So those are what I'm proposing.
But it's bronze.
Bronze,
We like
yes, I like it. And the next slide, if you.
The existing is just aluminum, this side.
The bottom part is actually, it's.
The main plan, it's
Steel pipe.
railing.
The bottom part, both sides, it fell apart.
It's
The
not
top-
aluminum.
This is an existing photo, right, that we can see here?
Yes, well, the left one is actually superimposing our guardrail.
Oh, I see that.
Okay, you see it, but
Excellent.
not
It's
too
gonna be
much.
higher, right?
In the middle is also trying to show there is a guardrail there
Mm,
from far away, maybe
Very
we
good
have
job.
presentations. here. So you see, and then we also did a mock-up with the red PVC pipe.
Yes.
That is minimally visible, but it is visible, but it's, it blends in. So, you have the sight lines there. The other change, and that's in the next, slide, is also, we are replacing, the roofs at the courthouse. So this roof that faces, the street, does have an existing railing that is minimally visible. And this railing is not code compliance. Once I change the roof, everything needs to be code compliant for safety. So what we are proposing, next slide, is actually a very similar railing, but it's taller, right? So therefore it will be more visible because it's a little taller. But on the left is the existing, on the right is the proposed railing for that location. And if you go to the next slide,
Just a minute, so this is done for, worker safety.
for,
Yeah.
yes, it's
No,
OSHA
for
compliant, yes, for OSHA, it's OSHA, it's not, this setback is not used by the public. Only,
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Because it's an OSHA requirement, it makes it hard for us to say
for,
all the heights are exceeding. Okay.
It's
Um,
also, you're doing an excellent job. Let's keep going. This is great.
so the next slide shows there our mock-up in red on the left there, the sight line. So it is about 10 inches higher than the existing one. And the next one shows you a rendering of superimposing on this photo. The next slide has
Next.
the actual railing. There we go. Okay, so that's the railing, the rendering of the railing. So that's the other change we are proposing here. The repairs at the facades are all gonna be done in kind. So we see the Dutchman's, grout injection, the top section is terracotta, so there will be patches and in-kind replacement. Next slide. There's another change that we are doing at Worth Street. Existing photo on the top right is actually what is that? It's a wood structure with wire. It's very
Contemporary.
temporary, but it's been there for years. So the main concern here from the client is a lot of people literally just sit on this knee wall, and there's a big drop, more than 12 feet down, okay, beyond. Also for safety. So this fence is actually very similar. There's an existing fence on Kent Street. So, but this one goes a little bit more towards the edge to really discourage people from sitting there or using a skateboard. I've been here on a Sunday and I've seen people even skating here. So bear in mind that this is superposing the existing conditions. This whole area is going to be landscape. So you'll have some nice shrubs, some trees, and it won't be that visible. But that's what we're proposing there is the fence there, very similar to Kent Street. The next slide will show just other changes to the courthouse. This one will not be visible from the street. We are replacing the roof membrane, so these chillers are old and have to be replaced along with it. The new chillers will be installed on steel dunnage. They will be higher, but they will not be visible. You can see the sight lines there. They're covered by this huge screen wall that in the perimeter of the courthouse. The other change there, we are replacing parapets in kind at the same height. Again, per OSHA and code, you do require to have the railings to be able to be at a minimum of 42 inches. So we are replacing railings on the back of the building. You see on the left there, the little arrow. It's not very visible either. And
So you're redoing the parapets?
we are replacing some of the parapets, yes.
So why not bring that up to 42?
Because then then you start to it's more masonry, and then you change the aesthetics, but definitely cost is cheaper for railing. But it's also landmarks usually does not like when we change proportions of a building. So
It's just unfortunate, all this pipe handrail, I've been going everywhere.
yeah, it's not that visible, and they have already
Well, it's not visible, right?
this one is not visible from the street at all.
Great.
No.
So really, there's nothing for us to say about it.
Oh, good. Okay. So in the existing
I'm
site
sorry, you
plan,
mean, hold on. There you go. Okay, go.
Okay, so regarding the site, this is the existing site. The idea here is so that when we get to the exterior, we will be doing replacement in kind. The reason we are also upgrading and repairing the site is we are doing excavation around the perimeter of the courthouse because of leaks into the sub-basement. So we do need to replace the waterproofing there. Once we are done, we will be replacing the sidewalks in kind, as well as the solar arrays and everything the same location, same finishes. The only change there regarding is the regrading so that it's accessible. The changes, so if you go to the next slide, I'll show you a little bit. So the changes there, impact here is the direct. So regarding the actual concrete sidewalk, we are proposing changes to the direction and the size of the scoring. Currently, you do have a 2x2 scoring, and we are proposing a 5. There's another slide, but let me go over all these changes. Also, we are proposing to have a post and fence, post and chain fence around these plantings. Currently, there is nothing, so people really just go over the plantings. So this will minimize. The third change is we are also, there are tree pits that no longer have trees, but they are actually affecting the artwork. So we are proposing to realign and adjust them. I will show that on a separate slide. And another change here really is to add spaces in these benches. There are plenty of benches on this plaza, but there's no companion seating. So we will, when we reset the benches, we will be relocating so that there is companion seating for ADA compliance there. So if you go to the next slide,
I have a question.
Yes.
Any of these areas that you just described, are
Mhm.
any of them original? Meaning any of these tree pits, meaning any of these from 1920, whatever you said, or is all this landscaping?
This was all done, my understanding is this is from the 1997 Foley Square.
Great.
Okay, but it is considered part of that, that reconstruction, so it does fall under PVC. So from that change from the 1997 reconstruction, the size and the direction of the concrete scoring, we are proposing to change. On your left, you have what's currently there, and that's the top photo on your right. Very 2x2 scoring, and you have these a little diagonal, like cardinal orientation there. We are proposing it to be a 5x5 scoring, and also that the scoring aligns with the and be parallel to the courthouse steps. Also, that's along the flow of the pedestrians. So it would be, in my view, more elegant and also less busy. It's very busy what you currently have. There is on Federal Plaza, there is already precedence for the 5x5 scoring. Also, Foley Square doesn't have concrete. They have the hexagon blocks, so it's not this, it's different. The other change, if you go, so everything else is the same. The solar arrays will stay. I'm not proposing any changes. Really, the scoring of the concrete and the how it runs. The next slide will give you a better idea there of what I'm talking about, the tree pits. So there are three tree pits that are currently empty. I'm not feeling any tree there. But one of them actually interfaces there with the solar array, so it causes it to crack and create tripping hazards. And another one is right on the flow there of pedestrians. So we are just proposing to relocate them, and they will be planted, but they align there with the new sidewalk grid. The next change there, if you, next slide, please.
I have a question.
Oh, of course.
What about this new concrete is gonna prevent the tree, no matter where it is, from doing the same thing that it's doing in this bottom right photo?
What's gonna prevent it?
Right, like you're saying you're gonna
Correct.
move the tree and you're gonna put concrete on top of it that's scored differently. Is it?
Oh, no, these are new tree pits. No.
Yeah, so
So
are we
we are,
losing a tree?
no, there are no trees. So the top photo there, you see 1, 2, 3, those are photos of the existing conditions on those tree pits on the left. You see the ones that are marked
Mhm.
red, there are no trees there. But the tree pits, actually, they interface with the design on the floor, right? And you can see that the floor is already all like, it's falling off, because when you plant a tree there, the trees with the roots, they will move that. So the idea is we move the tree pits a little bit away from the artwork. It will not happen at the granite.
So the new tree pits is
Mhm.
what we're asking, with the roots, and the way you're gonna detail the tree pits, they're not going to track the new standard size sidewalk, 5 by 5 and whatever.
Wonderment.
Yeah. Well,
Not for,
that's the
not for
impact.
50 years at least.
Not at least for a long time, but
Okay, great.
But also, these tree pits, Parks has a whole, standard that we have to follow. They're larger. And they want us to make sure that we, treat so that people don't walk into and compact the
Good.
soil.
Newer, better standards now than the
Yeah, they
90s.
do, they
Okay,
do.
terrific. I just,
Um,
to do it again and have it do the same thing.
No, they have, we have to follow all the parks guidelines there. Next one is just so that you have an idea there of the material palettes. It's really a replacement in kind, bluestone for bluestone, granite. They have 2 kinds of granite there, and that's the concrete pavement up there. The only difference there on the granite and all these pavement, they're gonna be a little thicker, because what we found is that whatever you have out there, it breaks because it's thinner too. So they're gonna be a little bit, hopefully, I'll be retired, right, when they have to redo this again. And the benches, they're all gonna be refurbished. Some will have to be replaced, but they're gonna be a replacement in kind. And when we install them, they will have the companion seat. They're reorganized in this class.
Companion seat.
What is it? So the companion seat is space between the benches. Right now, they are in rows, so no wheelchair can park between them. So we are making it a little more accessible, if you will.
So wheelchair can go in between.
But the benches are
The
like
same-
the standard
the
type.
same 1939 Wilkes-Barre bench.
Okay.
And same thing, the drinking fountain will be replaced, it will be ADA compliant, it will have locations to fill bottles and bike racks. And that's, the post and chain fence, it's very, used here, there's, at, the municipal buildings, so it's very common. But it looks nice, much better than the temporary stuff they have there. Next, they will see, rendering. When everything is completed, the building will look just like it's supposed to look, the same. And you have a nicer landscaping and sidewalk and walkways. Next rendering.
What does it mean pedestrian ramp not shown? Is there something?
Yes, we are supposed to include, of course, for the ramps at the intersection there.
Oh, the new standard of that, the new standard of the, whatever they do there? Okay.
DOT, so everything, this
DOT
is
stuff.
just DOT stuff, but it's hard to render that
I
one.
hear you.
So,
Okay.
I
So
just
that
put a
means-
note, and, the next one, I think, has the same note, it's a different, you can,
So this is the view,
yeah,
okay,
you
great.
can, yeah, you can, there we go.
Is there money in this for the planting? All the planting's good? It's all, everything
No,
like
that's
that?
new planting, this is all new planting.
Oh, okay.
New sidewalk, new curb, new planting, same lighting, it's,
Same lighting, meaning the exact same fixtures will
the
remain.
same fixtures will remain, we don't have anything lighting for the project, yeah.
And so the PDC part is only, did I understand that correctly? That's only for the tree plant, the sites?
No,
Yeah.
the whole site is part of this, right?
But,
The-
but
the
we're going over a
PDC
lot of,
part- Yes,
Oh.
thank you. The PDC is really everything that is beyond the property line. So you see the medallion there? That's PDC because it's artwork, all the rays and the sidewalks, just the sidewalks and the perimeter is PDC.
Are we net zero on trees here? Like we're gonna get our trees back that were already on this site?
So we are planting 36 trees. We have to take, out 11.
So we're plus like 25?
Yes, there'd be more trees.
So if someone was like, how many trees did they take out? I can't believe it. Be like, no, we put in 25.
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So what about, I mean, this is a lot of concrete that's being taken up and a lot of landscaping being redone. What about, is there no requirement for stormwater retention under this? And is there any opportunities for that?
Actually, there was a lot of talk with the DEP. This is a historic site in the middle of Manhattan. We're not redoing any of the drainage either.
None of
So
the-
it's really, no, this is strictly sidewalk replacement for, tripping hazards, and of course, the landscape does get affected because there's no landscape, like.
So there's no need for stormwater mitigation in this particular area at all?
No, we actually will do a sweep, and it's also.
Sorry, it's what I do for a living. And now's the time to talk about it.
Well, there was a lot of back and forth, like 3 months ago.
Understood.
Water retention and.
I just, and on top of that, I just sat in a whole.
We ended with the slides. I'm so sorry. Because I do see hands up, but I want to be fair to everybody who's been waiting patiently with questions. I think there is one more, or one or two slides.
One more slide, okay.
Not-
Guys, one more slide. Are there any public bathrooms proposed? No.
Can we just get past the slides and then we'll move on to those
It
questions?
doesn't work, now it's gonna work.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Courthouse.
very important. So this is just next steps.
You're
We
either
are
going
here
up
at
there or go
one.
somewhere else.
The next step is to go to a PDC hearing. They want to hear from the community board and also from landmarks to be able to weigh in. The project's supposed to go for bid next summer, and construction is starting February 2026. So that's the rough timeline. So thank you.
And my contact is on here if you think of any questions outside of our Q&A right now. But I would please like to allow Tammy Metzer to please ask her question because she's basically had her hand up for quite a while. So please, Tammy, ask your question.
Hilarious, hilarious considering I'm chair, but yeah.
Yes, thank you, Tammy, for your patience.
But-
Presentation.
All right.
No.
So thank you. Some of my questions were answered. Jason, thank you for clarifying about the net add to the trees. Gerald, thank you for asking about water retention, and I assume permeable pavers are not in the plan because they're not needed in where we are. So thank
No.
you for asking for all that. My question goes back to the benches when you're talking about adding companion. That adds more space in between, and those benches are fairly tight as they are now. Does that mean that you will need to lose a couple benches in order to accommodate the companion seating, or are you just spreading them out farther?
That's a good question. I believe I'm losing a couple benches here and there.
How many? Because that's, I hate to say, the companion seating is very important, but the overall seating and the ability to be in that quasi park-like area is very important.
I hear you. Would you go back a couple slides maybe for me?
Backwards?
Maybe backwards, yeah.
Sure.
I can get back to you on how many. Let me
Continue.
see. No, I'm sorry.
Can you go forward to, I apologize.
There's one.
That-
It's.
that one,
it's-
sorry. Lucy,
Now you go
back
back
to,
to.
Well,
Yep.
I can't be directed by two people. Give me a minute. Ma'am, which slide?
Go back one slide.
Back. This one.
Let me see, because it has a delay. So another one now. It had this delay.
Which slide?
There we go. I think that one kind of shows a little bit. So, the courthouse,
You have
Yeah,
a number?
this is
slide?
good.
We have
This is good.
numbers.
at least, I don't have one slide for, the actual, bench here, but I do have, this slide here kind of shows, oops,
Here.
it moved. No, because she wants to see the locations, you see, yes,
Okay.
they're right there. That's
Right here?
perfect.
No.
No.
Right here.
Yes.
Yes.
They're right. Yes, so over here, we did have, I can get back to you on the number of the benches there. but we did have to open up because they are really on the road. We did have to make these openings of 3 feet, but what we typically did is that we pushed them to the side and to the left to be able to make these holes in the middle there. But I have to get back to you on the number of benches.
It looked to me, and this is why I was asking, that when you're looking at the center island of planters where you separated them on the left, that you would be potentially losing as much as a full bench, if not two. And on the top right side, those are still benches. Even though they're not white, correct? They're just shaded green because they're underneath the tree canopy.
Correct.
That is correct.
And
Yeah.
then, so then across from, and the area that is closer to the building line that has benches in front of it, looks like we're losing benches in that area as well, as many as 2 or 3.
I honestly have to get back to you because these seating companions were a requirement from parks. And I honestly did not count the number of benches there. I can get back. I'm actually trying to see if my team that is in the office, if they can count.
Okay,
I want
Luana.
to say, I actually
Tammy,
have
you
to-
know, I will respond to you via email with the answer to your question.
So my
I
question
cannot
will
answer
be,
it tonight.
yeah, I got that. I understand. My question will be then, is there another opportunity, since this is not necessarily landmark space and it's PDC space,
Okay.
that we could add instead of losing? So move the bench around to another side.
I will share that request with the team and I will get back to you via email. Thank you.
This, and just to clarify, this section here is within the property line, it's landmarks jurisdiction, where the benches are. PDC has the artwork, which is the rays and the scoring. I mean, and the sidewalks, but I'm interested in having as many benches as possible. So we can review that with Parks too, and get back to you on the number and what's going on there.
And just to reiterate the question that was asked by I think Jason on the committee, there's no opportunity anywhere to be able to add a public restroom. Is that correct?
No public restrooms.
Thank you.
It's not part of the.
It's not part of the scope.
It's not part of the scope.
Maybe
Love-
terrain?
Again, I will bring that to the GDC.
Thank you.
I
All
have
right.
2 additional questions.
Go.
and 1
And
comment.
then we're gonna wrap it up.
All right, so on the opening slide, we have this picture of the skateboarder.
I took it.
So, I mean,
Eliminated.
has this been discussed? Is there anything that can be done to?
This was during COVID.
Okay.
But it happens all the time. And I mean, this is an issue with skateboard. I mean, it destroys the historic fabric. You know, they hit the corners of things and all that. And I mean, there's a whole new skate park going in nearby, but that doesn't keep people off of historic buildings. So has this been discussed? Is there, and just to piggyback on that, along those lines, on page 3 is a picture with the whole front, of course, with the police barriers up. They're pretty much a permanent fixture. I mean, is there anything that, you know, we're doing all this wonderful upgrades and everything, is there anything that can be done to, you know?
They're not here? Is that what you're saying? In this picture, are they here?
Yeah, they
Oh,
are.
that's those
On the
barricades?
right picture, yeah, I mean, they're
Okay, I'm
temporary, they look.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, they're temporary, but they're, I don't know how long. they've been.
We are, yeah, and at the 40th minute, we're not gonna dive into that. Now, your first question was what about?
Is about the front, Vicky, help me
Oh,
with the
the
classical
skateboard.
architecture. What do you call the
The pediment, the what?
no, the right and the left, the big, It's been too long since I've done classical.
Because I don't see them anymore. I used to see them.
Oh, we're gonna
during
try to
COVID.
stop skateboarding?
Well, what I-
Not
what I-
tonight, not tonight. We're not gonna try to stop.
The skateboarders were there during COVID because there were no policemen around.
Yeah.
Like, if you go there, they don't even
Okay.
let you get too close
No, no, no.
anymore.
Okay, all right. And then
but yeah.
my one comment, those were my two questions. My one comment is that the chillers, I hope to see a cage around that really tall ladder going up to
The ladder.
Oh, can you make a ship spinning bladder for Jerry?
no, a cage around it.
Okay.
It's an OSHA thing. It's a really tall, it's not an LPC thing, it's just
Yeah.
a common.
No, the chiller that controls it down in a dunnage. Nobody
Yeah,
needs to
no,
go up there.
there's a large ladder here.
Oh, the large ladder.
Again, it's not an LPC thing, it's just a typical comment.
Thank
You
you.
get a chance to comment officially. Do you want to say something about this?
Do we have any more questions from the community board or the public?
My only question, Anna, Gerald brings up a good point, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Jason, on you, is what is the plan for the steps? Will the temporary barricades be left on a permanent basis there?
So the temporary barricades, my understanding is they will still be there. There's no barricade as part of the scope.
Right,
Good
and I'm sorry, I was on mute. That is a question outside of design. We don't have any control over that, but I will definitely share that with the DDC team and get back to you via email on a response. Also, I just wanted to remind the board that we are looking for a letter of resolution tonight in order to move forward with PDC. I do believe you said you had quorum earlier.
Yes, we have quorum, and we will give you a positive resolution.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Don't you think?
And-
Absolutely.
And I know I'm the type of person that goes home and forgets, oh, I should have asked this question or that one. If you have any questions after tonight, please feel free to email me. My contact is on the last page of the slides. Also, Tammy, I will email you and the board my contact, and I'll put it in the chat tonight. So if there are any questions that you might think of tonight, tomorrow, or in the following weeks, please feel free to email me, and we will do the best we can to get you a response. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anna.
Everybody.
Is this applicable?
And thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
I think it would close this officially.
Nice.
Yeah, anyone in the public want to comment after that? No, okay, great. So
Anyone online?
anyone online? No, okay, so call the question.
Okay. Refusals, any assumptions? Tammy?
I'm in as long as we include all the comments.
Motion carries 4 in favor. Next project is 77 Franklin.
One time. Subterranean bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. 77 Franklin past presentations.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was wonderful. Thank you. Where are you going?
Oh, what's the
Wait, wait,
completion,
wait.
what's the completion, date?
Starts in
26?
February
Oh,
2026.
it's a 2-year project.
Okay, 2-year project,
Also, it doesn't start next year, it's only 25.
okay.
Okay.
2026, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the next one. Oh, great, so, we know it's gonna be terrific.
Zach,
Lock me up.
I have one more.
Great course line.
A 4 slider. I was thinking about
Yeah.
minimum. And 4 must be the minimum. Because how do you get everything in?
When we originally sent it into landmarks, it was only 3, but they
Okay.
asked us to add.
Okay, okay,
additional-
4 is the minimum.
This is,
Yeah.
thank you, Vicky.
Okay, and this is 77.
No,
And tell us,
Okay.
oh, sorry. we'll just
Ladies?
grab, yep. Yeah.
The two ladies were speaking
Okay,
together.
okay. Well, you know how they are. I mean, you know.
70 Franklin.
Yes, so this is, we have an application for landmarks regarding a very small scope of work. It does require a public hearing at 77 Franklin. It's in the Tribeca East Historic District. which was designated in 92. The building itself dates from 1864, 65. It's a typical store and loft building that's very, again, typical of the district. It's 4 stories tall. The upper stories are sandstone, and the storefront is listed in the designation report as cast iron, but it's actually embossed metal, sheet metal with a few cast iron elements kind of mixed in. The first slide just shows existing conditions at the site. The only work that we are proposing as part of this application is to paint the storefront. And the storefront was beige. And that lower left slide, we submitted an application to paint it charcoal gray. And then when the application had not yet been acted on by Landmarks, our client went ahead and painted it anyway. And so we called up Landmarks, going to find out about that, and it turned from an application into a legalization. So this is a legalization on top of everything else. But that's all that it is, so you can see the painted facade now, painted charcoal gray. And you can also just, while we're looking, the upper center image, you can see in context that there are a number of other dark painted storefronts on the block and in the district. The reason this is going to a public hearing is that by Landmark rules, it would have to be painted to match the other stories to be approved by staff. The work on the left, on the right, that large dark colored storefront was actually approved at staff level in 2018, but the rules have changed since then. So moving on to the next slide.
Okay, sorry, that's my bad.
Problem.
Lucy, sorry, Lucy.
So just to confirm,
Yes.
it's a good point, I forget now. So it's not a staff decision, because staff decisions cannot approve double colors. It has to be a single color from the
It has to
base
be a
to the
color
top,
similar to the
the base.
stone. It has to be similar to the upper stories, yes. So this is, you can see the elevation, the existing cornice is a dark color. And it is also sheet metal, embossed sheet metal with cast iron elements incorporated. So you can see that all we're doing is painting the facade of the storefront. The color sample is off in the corner there.
Yes, terrific.
Okay, moving on. These are just historic views of the district, starting with the 1940s tax photo. The building is the kind of right in the middle of the image there. And you can see that at that time, it had a dark storefront. Moving to the next image, which is super fuzzy, but it is what it is. The 1980s tax photo still had a dark storefront. And then the other images are images from the New York Public Library Archive that show various storefronts in what is now the district.
What about the designation photograph? No, doesn't show it?
We weren't able to get the designation photo. So I looked and I asked, but we don't have it yet. Maybe we'll have it in time for the public hearing. They've done a records search for us for a bunch of stuff.
But yeah, your point is that it's been painted dark previously.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then also historically, if you look at these streetscapes, you can see that there's a mix of light colored and dark colored storefront framing. That was all over the place when we went to the Public Library Archive. Just kind of fun fact, the lower right image, those little short buildings, that's what became El Teddy in the 80s, just
That's building still here.
which is
Go down.
kind of hilarious to realize when I found that image. Next slide. And then these are current images from around the historic district. That, again, the whole top row are from the actual block. And so you can see there are numerous storefronts that are similar to what we're legalizing. And then elsewhere in the district, also numerous examples of these contrasting storefronts. Any
That's it.
questions?
Okay. Any questions? Tammy? Tammy has
And
no
no
question.
questions? Let's see.
I am quiet.
Anyone from the public, raise your hand.
Oh, also, I didn't say who I am.
You're Lewis.
No, I'm Jason Gold. I work for Lewis Architects.
So this is a positive resolution to legalize the color, the existing.
I guess so. I mean,
color,
it's
the color that's on now.
the kind of backwards way to get there, which is unfortunate. Did you guys happen to do a paint analysis?
You mean do a chip to see if there was a layer of darker paint in there?
Yeah.
We didn't do that,
I'm
but we
sorry.
do have these images, these tax photos that do show that that specific facade was
Yeah.
at various times painted a
Yeah.
dark color.
I'm okay with that based
So
on
it's a
that.
resolution with a comment
What?
that it's preferable to come before the LPC prior. It's just.
Absolutely.
I think it's all.
We prefer that.
Right.
Totally.
I make a motion.
Okay, great.
Second, recusals, Tammy?
I'm abstaining. I want to take a better look at it. I'm not sold on the paint. Just saying.
And the rest is in favor? Yes. Motion carries.
Great, thank you. And
Okay.
our public hearing is on December 3rd.
Yes, sir. You'll have, the
Good luck.
resolution will be
Great.
sent the next day after the board meeting, which is the 25th.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. Have a great night. Okay, next is, I think 74 Hudson. Oh, great. Okay, Lucy, we have a thing, please.
I have it here. Did you revise it again? I don't know. Okay. Well, I always say, bring me just in case something happens.
We brought two.
So when you're ready, sir, we're ready.
Sure.
Yes, in the meantime, yes, it's good to you. It's been getting my work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, no, that's not.
Oh, see.
You'll conference through that. Don't be this like. Whatever. We're already on.
Actually, look, he's got the numbers, 115.
Good, big paper. Why do you do this for a second? Okay, yeah.
I can't hear anything. Is anybody talking?
Yeah, we know, we have you muted.
Doing some,
Housekeeping.
yeah, okay.
No problem.
Your name?
I'm Sando Thorderson. I'm a principal at DXA Studio, and we are the architect for the client for core and shell and LPC.
For what, I'm sorry?
The core and shell of the building, there's a specific tenant in mind, which I'll get to. that has their own, they're kind of a franchise, and they have their own architect that kind of kits it out. They're doing test fits on our corn shell right now.
Is that Goldfish?
Yeah,
We're not gonna do, are they with you or who are
No,
you
no,
guys? You're with other, okay, so you'll wait, we'll hit you up.
They're the.
You're here for a new building, I understand. Talk to us about the new building,
great.
please.
So we can jump ahead a slide. So these are standard formats, so you can please do these, get to the next one with an image. This is just a location plan, with the kind of, the zoning district, the flood map. Great, that didn't jump around, and the Tribeca West border. You can see where that corner lot where Worth and Hudson meet. One of the few lots that's unbuilt right now, it's a parking lot currently. We go to the next slide and zoom in here, you can see we're right north of the Walker Building, whose facade just was restored. The scaffolding came down on that storefront fairly recently. Go to the next slide. So this is our site. You can see we have kind of an oblique angled corner lot. And we're in front of these three buildings are gonna kind of figure heavily in this presentation because they add a kind of layer of complexity. Because all three of these buildings in the 80s had the foresight to kind of establish some easements with regard to the height. As of right, we would be a very similar height of this building. I believe you guys have seen this before, probably in 2008. We had previous approval there, since expired. I can go to the next slide. So this is marching down the Worth Street side, going top to bottom, walking away from our building. You can see that just outside the district, there's another empty lot with stackers. And then to the north of us, the rest of the block, give us the next slide. You see a similar kind of large scale, that top left one is directly to the north, it compromises the rest of the block to the north. Then across the street, you see that large commercial building, historic, and then across from us, we have kind of a smaller set of parcels with similar height. Slide. So this is kind of a contextual elevation, and this is showing what those easements kind of produce in terms of the max building height that's allowed on the site. It's obviously drastically different than the rest of the context. And then if we go one step further. So this is the historic survey that tells us what point we're measuring from when we establish that we can build. I'm going to simplify it here, but basically we can only build 18 feet above that top left corner.
Because of the easement.
Because of the easements. And then if you go to the next slide, we talked at length with Kramer Levin, kind of making sure we understood exactly how these play out. And the historic surveys on the Manhattan datum, obviously we're going to be NAP-D with DOB, and so that kind of adjusts it by about 6 inches from the historic point to where the current sidewalk sits.
So which is your current survey that you're submitted?
The one on the right.
This one.
Yeah, but in our easements, we have to refer to.
Where's the surveyor stamp signature, all that kind of stuff?
Well, we have a stamped one now. But this was this is the most recent one we had. The stamp one will be on our.
Can I ask a question,
Yeah.
since we're at kind of a stopping point for a second?
Yeah.
Are all of these, is the entire envelope in compliance or conformance with this?
Yes,
deed
so
restriction?
basically, Kramer
Every
Levin's
part of it?
interpretation was go as conservative as possible, because at any point, if someone challenges you.
You're representing it as like, that Kramer Levin is your attorney, and they have looked at this,
Yeah.
and they say that
Yeah,
you're
so
not
basically,
designing as per this drawing, anything above and the.
exactly, so if you go to the next slide,
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, wait, you can't go there. This is the historic survey.
yeah,
This is the current survey,
current survey, but.
like as in 1 year old.
Yes, it was recently stamped, or it was set.
But you didn't give us any of that information. We don't know that this is your current survey. That's the problem, right? Because we're trying to compare and sort this out. Okay, I understand now.
Next slide.
So this summarizes all of those easements. Basically, our roof plane is allowed to be 18 feet above that current point. The problem is they're a little bit more complex than that. Each easement was written slightly differently. And so we kind of have to summarize them all together. That's what the next slide does. We won't get into it, but the information is there. If you go through it. So basically, we color coded lot 17, lot 21, and lot 11, and kind of folded in all this information. So we also have these setbacks from those lots that are required in terms of any of our bulkheads and any of our mechanical. So that really kind of,
So you are a party wall on the ground floor.
we are a party wall.
Lot 17, and lot
Yeah.
11.
We're allowed a party wall on all sides.
So you're a party wall all around the perimeter,
Correct.
right? But this is up on the second floor roof, whatever you. call
That's
it.
where we're not allowed to put anything like mechanical or a stairwell head or.
Mechanic, star, elevator, people park, put picnic tables, whatever.
Public
This
restroom.
is public restroom.
Exactly. But what is allowed past there, according to Kramer
So
Lebanon,
this is your envelope.
no, that's not, that's the offset for any mechanical or bulkheads.
No, I meant.
The orange is the envelope. It's going to be a single story with a mezzanine. It's gonna be about 8 because the application,
I'm asking you, this is going to be your mechanical, whatever. This is your
That's- that's-
buildable. This is where you can build something like a
Above
golf and big, right. This is all going to be blank.
yes.
I'm gonna have a lot of zoning questions, so we might wanna let him get.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
You
Vicky,
what?
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Definitely, and.
Well, I've spent time studying it today.
Yeah, I know, okay.
So
Yeah.
Kramer Lebanon direction is anything that's an allowable obstruction. Can go beyond that 18 feet. So that gives us the 42 parapet.
Uh-huh.
So that's really kind of our only tool to kind of approach this with, I guess our challenge here is to kind of satisfy the appropriateness argument with LPC, as well as kind of be honest to a contemporary building. This, just keep this in mind when we get to the roof plan and our visibility studies for that. That's on the. Next slide, please. Okay, so we did, this is kind of our kind of layered, parts, tools that we have to our available to us in order to kind of establish that appropriateness and contextuality. So here are the two tax photos, the 1940s and 1980s on the left. The one on the top right is one we found kind of digging deep into the archives. It used to be a publisher, a press. That butter building behind them. It still had more height, but it was still kind of an older ilk. You can see the
sorry.
Walker.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But I just think it's interesting, like the Walker building is outside of our district, but obviously it's a huge part of the context. And it's interesting in that it's one of the only nearby single-story buildings, just its storefront, that little kind of, I guess, annex. Keep going. These are just more historic photos we thought were relevant, building the history of the place. Going. So where we started was trying to understand, we went through all the tax photos in the district and found the previous kind of single-story buildings. And basically, they're kind of out of character even at this time in terms of the rest of their context. Most of them are kind of just single business occupants. You keep going. Then we looked at the commercial buildings from a historic angle, and this is kind of character of those particularly corner lots, and you can see kind of what we're all used to, the kind of arched expression and some of these kind of colonnade, large bays in the ground floor, which figures heavily. Next slide. Then LPC in our kind of initial conversations, we were kind of discussing recent contemporary buildings in the district. And I would say with the exception of number 6 there, it's kind of a mix of, quiet modernism and some kind of faux historic references. Next slide. This is the same kind of continuation of that. There's some kind of adherence to materiality. There's some writing out there about the facadism of number 4. Recent addition proposed on the right. Keep going. So this was the previous approval from 2008, and it's not kind of what DXA would typically do, but it was kind of a simple, they're showing an art gallery, but a simple kind of single-story curtain wall, commercial set of tenants. Next slide. So then building our kind of arsenal of expressions here. The larger bays are kind of what we were really interested, specifically on the ground floor. You see these expressions of kind of a height and a half for those floors, which leads well into our 18-foot dimension. And then going forward, one more slide. This is what we see today on the site. I think it's the same, a lot of it's similar. You've got that kind of clear story window or I think it was mentioned kind of an embossed metal or some of these filigree kind of expressions in that upper portion. I think the top left is really kind of interesting because it is a corner and we see the scale of repetition of these arcades and the depth of that. Slide. It's just more of that thinking. We're just kind of looking at the range of materiality and the scale of this expression.
It's a long way from what you're proposing.
Oh, I know.
Okay,
Oh, I know.
let's keep moving.
So then we are also looking at arches, and that's something we're very interested in here. Instead of the kind of quiet modernism we were looking at earlier. I think there's a range of these. They start with like a very half round proper radius arch, either kind of a radial masonry expression, or the next slide shows some kind of corbelling of brick. Slide. But this, you can see here, this one? No, yeah, no, that was correct. But what we're looking at here is the arches kind of, we have a study coming up that looks at how they start to flatten out and become more stylized. Next slide. This one's also interesting in terms of that repetition, particularly that top middle one with the kind of rose brick expression. And so here we were looking at kind of a progression, how the kind of expression of the arches kind of evolved to kind of a stylized flatter one, not a arc more than a half radius. And then in terms of materiality, we're really interested in a couple of things that you saw on site. This is the terracotta street signage on this corner of Beach and Hudson. And then the right has an unglazed two-bodied one. Kind of flourish below that cornice. And then the other thing we're really interested in is this metal patinated kind of aged, very tactile that relates well to the terracotta in our minds. And this expression of these sort of industrial building doors that would shutter the facade.
Do you have any of those?
Yeah, we'll get there. So we jump to this facade. This is a corner view. So we're thinking of a terracotta expressed arch and our kind of way kind of into the future of it being a contemporary building. We really like this parabolic expression that we also think kind of helps give it this sense of more height than it actually has. You'll see this is kind of a patinated copper that we're thinking of for the screens that would go in front of there. The tenant is Goldfish, which is a child's swimming school. They're kind of all over the city, and if you've seen them, their branding is heavily kind of leaning on really bright blue and orange decals on the window, which we kind of obviously not very landmarks friendly. So here we're thinking of perforation that has a gradient. It gets lighter as you go to the ground because the pool is taking advantage of the slope from the top left to the far right.
So this is a pool house.
What?
It's a pool house.
Yeah.
All this time, we're getting to, this is a pool house.
Yeah.
Isn't this terrific?
It's basically swimming lessons. It's a very shallow pool. We'll get to the section.
Let's go to the building, yeah.
But so here we've given some provisions for some signage. Because of that slope difference from the north to the south, we're taking advantage of that extra height and lowering the pool level so that you kind of see out that perforation if you're attending the swimming lessons, but it also obscures it because it is children swimming and we didn't want that's kind of riffing on that expression of those patina steel doors.
Sorry, the pool is not at the sidewalk.
It's not a grade. We have this is the lowest point of the site, so we're utilizing that for our egress to the
I
street.
was gonna say the ADA and all that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then when we get to that section, it's worth noting that because of that, we have enough height differential to create a commercial second space on the mezzanine. And so that's what this entrance to the left is, and that one we're recessing back and trying to create that.
So the owner has a second tenant.
We'll get to the section.
Am I going too fast? I don't know when you.
No, I think this is helpful because you can see kind of what we're thinking about, pretty minimal in sidewalk lighting those piers. We're thinking of kind of upstand metal signage at the two entrances, one for the unknown tenant and one for the Goldfish School. And we're also kind of integrating provisions for blade signage if they want it in terms of open city guidelines.
The blade signs are already rendered.
Yeah.
And they seem to be
They're compliant.
minimal and not invasive and sticking out and screaming.
I'm sorry, was there blade signs on the last photo? I couldn't see quick.
Two black, yeah.
They're-
Oh, that's- okay, got it. See them.
So we also like to acknowledge that it's a pool. We think the materiality of the terracotta has a relationship to that. And we also like this slight scalloping and this radial kind of droplet of water.
Oh, we have no blue. It's almost comical.
Well, I mean, I think this one's, if you go back go back to that one, I think this renders really, I'm just trying to pick up on some of the samples that we have here. We've talked to 3 different vendors. Basically, to do this at this scale, we obviously aren't going to create a different mold for each of these kind of panels per arch. And so we've rationalized it so that each of the panels is actually flat, create that curvature, and they can cut them. And the best way forward for us is we're currently thinking it's precast, the same way you precast brick here.
Looks good.
And this is just to represent a range, because basically, whether it's Boston Valley or another company, they can do anything for the things, right? And where I don't think we're leaning too heavily on these kind of more matte through-bodied ones, but some of these are more interesting in terms of the relationship to the neighborhood.
Okay,
So has this been
I think we
approved
got
like at other levels?
now,
This is just LPC right now. This is-
For us to get to,
And I mean,
No, you mean, the first proposal we saw that was approved before, that
no,
was
that
not
was
built,
not us.
that was not built.
so at this point, this is matter of right.
This is,
Matter, one story, matter of right,
Yeah,
with all the easements around it and everything. This is it. This is all you can get.
this is all.
right. We're here to discuss the appropriateness,
Have more
historical
slides,
district.
Yeah, we,
We do?
Do we need more slides?
Yeah, we do.
yeah, we do.
All right.
Just keep going.
so these are the
Tell them
elevations that kind of show the commercial entrance that's kind of open to beyond. It'll have like a very quiet storefront behind there. And then we pick up that banding of the durations and run it all the way to the other side. So if you go back, this is,
Oh, sorry, yeah.
nope, that's not, no, that's going. So this is a visibility study simplifying it because it's a little hard to see on the renders, but we have a slight glass rail there. And just beyond that, that is these represent the most maximally visible kind of bulkheads and mechanical on the roof. We got a package and provided an offset for an acoustic screen, because assuming that the same kind of motivations behind the easements would probably want that kind of visually screened and acoustically screened. This particular visibility angle, that's for the mezzanine of that is for the parents watching swimming lessons, and they're not sure they want that elevator, so that might not be there in the end. But right now, you can't see the other elevator bulkhead for the commercial space, and you cannot see the mechanical from this angle. You go one more. And then this is the other kind of more maximally visible. I believe this is the mechanical, right?
Yeah. Mechanical equipment.
Got it.
You can see the.
Oh, that's great.
Where's the mechanical?
That's here,
Right.
That yellow right up here,
here.
behind the glass rail, that yellow area. Green, yellow, or
You mean where there's a dip
Yeah.
and it doesn't meet 42 inches?
The glass is 42, the dip is good.
Is less than 42. And when you don't meet, you put the glass.
So this is just a view from across the street, and from this angle straight on, it's not.
And what does the rooftop look like for these people around?
Well, yeah, these are the plans, so.
I don't know. Maybe it's just loading. Let's
Might
give
be
it a
loading.
second. Yeah, we have a very slow connection here.
While it's loading, that dark border on the plan on the left, this is our cellar.
No frozen.
Well, I can talk about that dark bench.
What is that in the cellar?
So that's an offset.
Oh, we have it on here, right?
That is
Stop
what?
it and then.
It's an offset to avoid excavating too much,
You don't have to underpin.
right? So we have.
We don't have to underpin them.
I think we're not interested in that at all. And then the pool footprint is that upside down L shape that you see, and the rest is basically mechanical space and egress down to the mechanical space into the street.
Okay, but that's interior.
Yeah.
Um,
These are all planned. And then the next slide.
Next slide is a section. I don't know if you guys want, does everybody have that? You have that?
That's really frozen.
Yeah, we might,
I stopped it and I.
It's okay, we got it, just. keep
yeah, I just want
going.
to make sure everybody else can see, and then we can just keep moving. Your dog? You ordered her?
Oh, I locked them up in a cage. Yeah, exactly. See his dog get me.
Okay, give him some space.
Okay, so this section shows, it's not a very deep pool because it is for kids and there's crawl space below that. You can see that kind of inner court that's created for light and air it's not required, but obviously quality of life for it, which is great. And then a bigger story will likely be frosted.
What page are you looking at right now?
This is 41.
Yeah.
41, it's a section.
So this is the pool.
Oh, online, guys, we're frozen online,
All
so
of
you
it.
know.
This is
But we have
all-
handouts here
So
that are very
because we're the core and shell, we look for the pool for them to have back of house functions like locker rooms and.
Oh, this is all the other
It's-
stuff.
it's-
The
they're-
pool
they're
that
gonna-
we're interested in is right here.
That's it.
What happens in this space here?
That's mechanical and crawl space. But we did skip a page here. There were two sheets of plans.
Mm.
The one that we missed has the roof.
Yes.
So basically, you can see these guys here, the two in the middle, are forefront of that.
No, it's had nothing to do with that, has to do with.
So you're supposed to stay back of all this, right?
Yeah, so
So there's a skylight here.
that's a skylight for the entrance lobby of the commercial, but because that's not 2 stories, it's actually low. So it's all the time.
So this is down in section in the
Right.
ground floor.
Can you share that? Can you share that image again, please? On the screen.
We can't.
It's very cold in here and that, you don't mean that.
Tammy,
Okay, you're-
I'm
Tammy?
trying to share and it just stays frozen.
Are we on 40? Yeah,
No.
because I got Tammy. No. Oh, okay, Tammy, we're back on.
Thanks, guys.
But this- There you go.
It's crazy, it's not.
It's just,
Oh, it doesn't matter, we can see it. And plus, we've got the documents and.
right, and honestly, these plans, because of the core and shell, they're pretty sparse. I mean, you can see the cores, you can see the egress, you can see the vestibules.
But this is about the envelope anyway, right? And it's.
You have a hand up from the public.
Oh, we're gonna do the
We
roof,
haven't
we're gonna
gotten
do the
there yet.
table first. Is that okay? Guys,
Yes. that's
anyone in
what
the
we want.
public wanna? Okay.
We haven't finished our own questions. so-
Yeah, and let's just keep going if you wanna say a couple more
So
things.
41 shows you where that mechanical bulkhead is. It
Okay.
also needs to be above the pool space, so that's kind of moved forward as well, and we have that light well kind of in the court.
And that's out of your perimeter.
Yeah, so
Setback.
everything, yes.
Okay,
That was the.
what is this? I've been looking at.
That's the terrace for the commercial space. Get light, book space. And the second.
Oh, so you just carved that out.
Yeah.
Like the sign, they're not listening. So, you know, who's been not listening? Then he says, wait to the presentation.
Okay. I think this is it.
So 43 shows you basically the detailing that we're thinking of. So that gives you an example of the signage band that we're talking about. If you look very closely, we're about 6
We
inches.
got it.
Yeah, you got it?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any discrepancies as to what you're, you know, or whatever. I think it's very clear for me.
But did we discuss it earlier with some of the questions that?
No, I haven't, nothing yet. So If he's done, if this gentleman's done,
I think he's.
okay?
I mean,
What else
all
do
that's
you-
left is examples of terracotta, which you.
Right, and we know that's richly, pointed on the buildings in our district. Okay, so why don't we do, our awesome chair here first, co-chair. You,
No, I just wanted to verify, from you that the current survey and the old survey, the current survey actually matches,
Yeah,
all of these. And, everything was transferred correctly from the surveys over here so that all these perimeter walls that are looking into this new proposed building are compliant.
Yeah.
So that, and you have spoken to,
no,
Graham 11 is your lawyer.
Yeah.
The building, the property owner's lawyer.
I mean, we advise them to bring them on board to vet these because they're pretty complicated as a trio.
I think they did the Louisiana permit.
Is it okay if we open this up to,
I would like to, yeah, because I want to know why these neighbors are here, but, just before that, because we're going to totally dig into whatever they say, and someone who couldn't be here from the committee was disappointed with your design, shape feels wrong.
well,
We're
we'll
doing
get
the
to that.
table first, though, right?
Okay,
Well,
hold on, no, I think let's hear, I want to,
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're gonna hear,
that's
who-
where I was.
all right, so who wants to talk that's here at wait this
First
time?
people in the room.
Yeah, whomever wants to go first. And where are you from and,
My name's Pavan Zarabnini. I'm a resident in 10 Leonard, which I believe is lot 17.
21.
okay. The diagram.
I've been in the neighborhood for 15 years. Also happen to be a real estate lawyer. So we're
Yeah,
here,
you speak up and.
yeah, of course, would it be helpful if I?
Yeah, please do, no, please.
The owl.
There are the owls.
The owls of
All
power.
seeing, all out, all hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, we're here simply as an information gathering exercise. To this point, we have not had any outreach from the project owner, the architect, Kramer Relevant, or any of the other representatives. So we're just in real time here trying to understand what's happening and get as much information as possible. In addition, I believe the plans that we were able to access publicly in advance of this meeting have changed from what was presented here today. We haven't had an opportunity to dig into those changes. I will say, since we've spent a number of minutes during this meeting talking about whether or not this is compliant with the terms of the lot lines and the air rights, we're not yet in a position to assess that. However, I would note one thing for the record, that our building, at least that being 10 Leonard, does have rights to land that abuts to that design here would not be a party wall on all four corners. There's a portion of our land that should be carved out. And I believe in the previous version of the plans that were publicly available, that was reflected. So I'd say there's at least one discrepancy just from the few minutes we've been here listening to the presentation and observing. That being said, I myself am not here to present an objection or to state anything at this time. My own personal view is we would respectfully request some time to be able to digest this and obtain, some representation. And we welcome a conversation with the development team to understand what they're planning and how it impacts the neighborhood and the community, as well as obviously our rights, which we're of course interested in.
What lot are you? 17?
It's the corner, it's the corner, yeah.
You're the 17.
No, 21, 21, the corner.
Oh, 21, I'm
21,
sorry,
yeah, thank you.
21.
Yeah.
Sorry, 21.
So, typically, by the time the project gets this far along, the architect, the owner, the neighbors have had some interaction, and you have not, right?
We have not.
Are you guys all in the same building?
No.
Oh, do you have some other questions?
I'm in lot 11,
Okay,
Worth Street.
Wait, uh-huh.
the pink one.
Yeah, and the color rendering doesn't really show it as well, but they do have some pictures, but it's completely blocking the second floor windows. And, I'm on the commercial space and it says on here that One Worth is a residential building. It's only residential from the second floor up. The first
Gotcha.
floor is
Mixed use.
commercial.
Gotcha.
And I own the commercial shares of the building and have a flower shop there.
The new flat, yeah, very nice.
On the
Very
first
nice.
floor. And this would completely obstruct my office windows. If they built all the way up to the wall, there would be no light and air from the windows of my commercial space.
Right. That's easily sorted out in the sense that there are laws and rules based on, you know, what you bought, what you owned, how it was done. So I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I've done this long enough to know that, you know, are your windows that provide natural light and ventilation legal? And in the event that they're closed, that they're correct, right? Then that leaves you in a bit of a pickle, but
Well, it's a land, ours is, our building was designed by Stanford White, the facade is landmark.
the rear facade, right?
Yeah.
So this is the rear facade, right?
It's on the side facing the park.
Side.
Yeah, facing Hudson.
Yeah, it's not shown anywhere in any of these materials. They're not showing the windows that they're blocking.
So what do you have to say to that?
I mean, all I can say is the access agreement is Ariston Development Group, they're gonna have to reach out to you.
No one has reached out.
Okay.
These plans were just submitted like a week ago, last Thursday.
Yes.
So isn't it required to have a little more time?
Submitted where?
LPC.
No, you couldn't be here that quickly, you just for the first time submitted them last Thursday?
Yeah.
So LPC and then they came originally,
Second meeting with them. We've had two informal meetings.
Yeah.
We are
They're working fast. Is that bothering you?
got a docket number last Friday and you're already here? So how did you get staff? And the material checklist had no comments, that they just said go
We
directly?
had
to
our first meeting with Corey.
Yeah, Corey, they had there,
Very
okay.
positive, and then we met with the staff, Emma and.
Yeah, Emma Waterloo.
They gave us some comments and are responsible for at least 4 additional slides.
Yeah. Well, look, to answer your question, it's like they did it, I've never even heard of something going that fast, but, you know, let me look through here and see if everything, there is a lot of material here. The building is simply a repeated, what did you, prefabricated thing. Okay, so that's just to get to how they're here so fast and to make everyone feel like no one's like being, whatever, steamrolled over here, okay? Everything seems to be above board. So, did you have another question? Okay, you wanna go?
Well, you know, this is our community, right? And we all want to coexist and it's incredibly uncomfortable when, you know, a proposal like this lands and, you know, we are stuck wondering what lawyer spoke to whom, right? You know, we are here to comment on certain things that are in the purview of, you know, historical references and landmarks, historical district, right? So it makes me uncomfortable that you did not speak to the community, that you didn't have any kind of meetings to discuss and review this. Maybe not your job, excuse me, you're the representative here tonight, it would be the owner, right? Because this is, you know, it's New York City and we're a party of all shares and it's nice to know that, you know, I'm gonna do this and you know, I have the right to build this and then you can have your input. So it's very uncomfortable situation. I think we might put that in our resolution. We will also check with Tammy in a minute. Now, as for the look of the building, it is a historic district and you couldn't have got any further away from that. So that's a whole other discussion. I asked if Jerry would like to maybe continue now and.
Sure, thanks, Vicky. So I have a few questions, I guess. I understand about the light and the air easement. I'm looking at, page 13 in this dashed line. As well as am I understanding this correctly, that there's a max FAR of 5?
Right, and without the easements, and we studied that, because it wasn't clear to us the way the easements are written. Is this line, is there an as of right, like 5 or 6 story building that's possible? And we were talking, that was when we decided to recommend going to Cranberry Lab, because that seemed like those two possible interpretations are drastically different, obviously. And their recommendation was like follow it to the most conservative.
You got,
Yeah, their recommendation was to be as conservative as possible in that assessment.
who's recommending?
You're talking about the height, but not going all the way to the other buildings.
Yeah,
and blocking windows.
I'm not aware of any of those, perhaps, in our reading of the 3 easements.
Have you been to the site?
Yeah.
You didn't see the windows?
There are windows, but I mean, that's something that,
that's
as the
like-
architect,
You know,
Right windows on lot lines they have to be legalized. You can't just put a window on
Right.
a lot line and have it be legal. It has to be a legalized and acknowledged thing.
These windows have been there.
That's
Right.
sorry, just for
Right.
historical context, the 4 parcels in question were all subdivided, and were all
Right.
in 1987.
frequently we will find a condition where you get walls or you get openings on party wall conditions.
Yeah.
And when they're not legal and they don't belong to you, and eventually someone comes along and closes you, yes, it creates a hardship on many, many levels.
I just want to be clear. I'm not objecting on a hardship basis. I'm just noting for the record that from a legal perspective, we have a different interpretation, at least along some parts of the law.
So all we can do is.
Which we believe was at least reflected in a previous version of this that we saw. So
Okay.
something,
was that the glass kind of?
no, I mean a different version of what you have shared with us today.
I don't believe our plan has ever changed. So,
Plans, we updated the details of the wall section, but the plans have never.
and then we pushed very hard for the elevator vendor and mechanical engineer to give us exactly what
That's
they
just a lot.
Right.
Yes.
So this is my point. This
Yeah,
is not, that's the point. That's a small point. I'm making, is that it's just, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not part of the law. It's not at all.
Yeah, just, it's not-
Uh,
yeah, no, it's very contentious.
Yeah.
You
I guess
found
they're-
it?
Is this gonna have to go through land use as well?
No, why would it? No, I mean, just like what?
Yeah,
Okay, but the.
Well, I'm just, my thinking is the zoning issue and the easements and all
No,
that.
no,
stuff, but
you-
we're
No,
good.
it's-
We're good. Okay.
No, the way it goes is that somebody makes a decision, files maybe, and then somebody files a motion.
Okay, we're gonna do this gentleman here.
I have a
But it's
person
always
who
been
don't
to
know
do that.
yes.
Okay.
Well, after talk- okay.
Yeah, well, let's get online.
I don't know.
Yes.
Gentlemen, we have to get to the people online.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tammy, go ahead.
First of all, I also want to remind everybody in the room it's extremely difficult to hear when you're online. If you're all talking amongst yourselves, I'd appreciate if one person at a time could talk. So that's one. 2, I may have missed it in the problem with the freezing of the slides. There was a conversation of something on the roof beyond, I thought someone said, picnic tables or something. Could I get a little bit more explanation on that? And exactly how high is the building? You said you were going very conservative, that 5 to 6 stories was not tenable, but it's extremely difficult to tell how many stories with the arches that you're doing. It's at least 1.5 floors.
It's roughly around that 18
You
foot
know
mark,
which slide
right?
it is? I probably.
Wait, the height is 18 feet?
Yeah, the height is 18.
Yeah, 18 feet. That's a good number.
The facade is like
From the corner of.
No, it's 18
Guys,
feet.
again, please, you can't speak
Could you?
on top of each other because we can't get the recording.
Correct. Can I just have the applicant answer the question, please?
The average height of the building is roughly 18 feet. It's on a slope, and we have a parapet condition that allows us to go a little bit higher. Yeah.
But the height of the facade is higher than 8 feet. It's 3'6" parapet.
Right, and the reading is, the way everything is written, that an allowable obstruction is allowed there. A parapet.
Right, it's just a little quick question, it's reason, is that 3-foot parapet going all the way around the lot?
No, it goes just the sides, the street facing sides.
Okay, what's the parapet height? Not on the street.
Okay, yeah,
just a
on the
full thing?
interior. There you
I
go.
mean, we could do it, we haven't even thought of that because we would keep it obviously as minimal as possible.
Okay, just thinking, I just, hope you don't mind 1 second, is the northeast corner. This little bumpy thing, a building adjacent to it, just north. All these guys. There's a recess, such that there's a little courtyard and windows which aren't on the lot line. So if the parapet there is 6 inches,
No.
I don't obscure their windows.
I understand, all we can do is follow the rules set forth in the easement and the
Right.
legal lot line windows.
But I'm not saying in dropping the height of the building, I'm just saying, can you tell me that the parapet, which would, if it was 3'6", would block windows?
There's no reason it couldn't be a 6-inch.
That's all I'm
There's
asking.
absolutely no reason.
Tammy, would you like to continue with your questions?
I would love an answer on what is happening on the roof. There was a comment, I heard something about picnic tables on the roof.
No, that wasn't the presenter. There, right now, the main roof doesn't have to be accessible and we haven't thought of it as accessible. There's an inner court that's much lower that they can do what they want and it will be blocked because it's an inner court. No one will be able to perceive what's going on.
Okay,
There's a vast amount of roof that's unaccounted for because the mechanical package is actually quite small. And I suspect we're gonna have to do the sustainable roof local law situation there, probably see them.
okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
I have, no, but there are 1 minute for people in the public, and you guys are.
Let's just finish up, Gerald, and not
Yeah,
to say you
just
have to
go ahead.
finish, but
So this is 18 feet, right? That's the top of roof slab. And then you're saying that this is the parapet. So this is now goes like that, right?
plus 3'6". So you're 21 feet 6 inches.
Along the street line.
Along here.
The street wall is approximately 21.5 feet, the street wall of this building.
This is the
Yep,
street.
there you go, 21.
And what is the maximum height you can do there based on the easements? Clearly.
21.5 feet. He's saying 18 plus a permitted obstruction and, you know.
And then accounting for the slope going to the south.
Yeah, okay.
Just from an LPC standpoint, I'm gonna throw this out there. For one, I feel like it looks like a suburban car showroom of some sort. It's not contextual, it's out of scale.
Yeah.
The arches relate to nothing on the street that I can see from any of the other openings. The beautiful mercantile buildings right across the street, and I saw very little of that in the presentation. You know, from a zoning standpoint, I mean, contextually, I understand the easements and all the rest, but there is a 5-foot FAR of some sort. It just seems very out of place contextually. It relates to neither of the two buildings on either side. And on top of that, I don't actually know that the use of a child's swimming school across from one of the most established historic drinking establishments in the city is actually appropriate. Those are my thoughts.
We go off a little bit sometimes in this thing.
Oh, one more. No, the uplighting. I don't know how we keep getting, this seems to be a trend that's coming back to the city. I'm very much opposed to uplighting.
Yeah.
It's been done on the new Warren Street Hotel downtown. It creates light clutter, for one, and then as a pedestrian walking by, you got lights blaring in your face as you go by.
Not a good
So,
part of this proposal.
Yeah.
All right, so
Thank you.
we're gonna do, Vicky, are you okay? You can go online or you want to say?
Yeah, no, I'd like to hear the online, then I want to have a talk with Taz.
You can't do that.
Can't do
You
it.
need 30 seconds. I love it.
Do the chair. Not
No,
the
but
co-chair. I can't do anything in this room anymore.
Good.
This is like the real Me Too moment here.
Philip
Philip Parker, please speak. Hi, Philip.
I live at 77 Hudson Street, which is immediately across Hudson Street from the proposed site. And I have a couple of questions. In the plans I saw that came in the other day, the upper floor, the roof rather, is shown as a terrace and paved as though it would be an occupiable terrace. Is there a proposed roof structure as a canopy, a tent, any other sort of thing to be up here? It certainly is not, it's not shown as sedum, as you mentioned in your presentation a moment ago.
Right.
It is
I mentioned
absolutely
that.
not grass. It is shown as a paving. And the second thing is the site that you mentioned might be a lookout into the pool from the upper floor is actually a separate tenant, which wouldn't seem to imply that those were the parents of the children swimming, but perhaps another kind of establishment. So the question
Right.
is the idea of this place to be used as a recreational place for children maybe during the day and something else in the evening? And
So
so
there-
it
there's
is very
two separate
unclear, there's
spaces.
no way.
I just thought he was done, but we're gonna, so we're gonna.
Philip, unmute yourself
Philip,
again.
sorry, Philip.
And you need an elevator?
So this elevator is required for these guys. If you go to here, this is the mezzanine to the south.
Lucy,
There's a mezzanine.
hold on a second. Lucy, it may be just easier if you put people up as a panelist, let them speak, and then demote them back.
But the point is that they don't respect and they all jump in, so we
Right.
have to.
Okay, we had two, Philip, we were gonna set you up again. We had two questions. One was about, something was about the use, okay, and something was about audit.
Yeah, so
There you go.
for the use, what we were saying in terms of the sedum is a response to someone wondering if that's gonna be occupied. And currently, it's not. I mean, basically, we can't get an accessible roof up there. We're using the most minimal elevators possible, right? So we can't, our overrun would be non-compliant with the easements. So that paving is just a placeholder because the new local laws for sustainable roofs mean that anywhere that's not an occupied roof or a mechanical roof has to be either all solar panels or green roof. And, you know, the most cost-effective way to do a green roof is sedum trays, which are usually the same scale as a paver.
Great. Okay, Philip, did you have anything unanswered there, or?
Just to note that it appears as though it's there for recreational use. The stair does go up to it. The proposed elevator is proposed and not showing whether there is or is not access onto that level. It would certainly look like it's going to be accessible, understanding that the elevator is rather small. But
I understand where that.
I just want to know if you're representing that there will be no occupation of the upper part of the building or the roof rather, or something else.
So those exterior stairs are there for access to the roof without a bulkhead of the stair.
Right.
Otherwise, that would be a further obstruction, right? So the
Yeah.
only occupiable one is the lower terrace that's accessible from a commercial tenant that is an additional tenant on the northeast corner mezzanine. The south corner mezzanine is up in the air still. You know, we can fit it because of the slope of the site, but it is an 8'6" clear height, and the tenant's not sure they want it. So that's why it says potential elevator, because if we don't do that mezzanine, we don't need that elevator. I should also say that these elevator types, what's the overrun on this one? It's 5 feet. It's like, it's a little less than 5 feet.
Lula, okay, we get the elevator, we get it. Okay, Philip, you're off. Who's next? Did your guy get to speak?
No, my name's Philip Guess.
Another Philip?
Yeah, he's got his hand up.
Oh, no, another Philip. So Philip, yes, you go. We did Philip Parker, don't we?
The green roof is-
Hold on, we're unmuting you, my friend. Philip, you're up.
Sorry, you're able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, terrific. So my name is Philip Jesue. I live at 1 Worth Street, which I think is lot 11. I'm the president of the board. We've been discussing this over the past couple days with both 10 Leonard and 90 Hudson. All three of us are parties to different light and air easements. We don't necessarily agree with what we see here. We have not had time to consult counsel. Nobody's ever mentioned this. From a procedural standpoint, we weren't noticed until a couple days ago, and we didn't have this package until the day before yesterday. So we'd like additional time to review this. We've had no developer contact. And even today, we wonder who the developer is and what their program plans are for this, because we have some of the same questions as Philip from across the street. There's only a pool shown here, and we wonder what other sorts of things are going to be added to this site and used in conjunction with the pool. Could it be a bar or other things like that? So it would be nice if they could answer what the details are of what exactly is going to go on here in the neighborhood and what sort of occupancy they're going to be looking for. And I have a number of other questions that are from all of the residents of these three buildings, or various residents of these three buildings, that we've never had a chance to address because we were just informed about this.
Okay, thank you, Philip. I'm just gonna say, you guys really need to talk to your neighbors. That's what, I'm hearing that. That's not part of what it's not our job to get you guys in this room together.
Owner, not the architect.
Well, but he's an architect, so he's gonna help make it happen. That's, okay, and you know, is the owner here? Yes, no, the owner's not here, so you can ask the owner wherever you are, he's not here.
That's why we have
Who are you?
lawyers.
This guy's got, oh, both architects, so they're gonna
That's
help
why
us
we have
out.
lawyers.
Okay, who else wants to
But I
talk?
like your
Mr. Chung, or,
Hi, no, this is Jaro Chung. I'm also a resident at One Worth Street. My apologies, I'm actually at the airport. And so my apologies if you hear some background noise. So I actually live on the second floor of One Worth Street, and I have small children. And my concern is how long is this construction will last if it were to go forward? And if they've considered, if it's going to be a pool, if they've considered going down to the lower sub level so that they can actually have additional room than hitting the maximum of 18 feet. And one specific question I have is on slide 36. The facade that the presenter had showed, it actually looked like it was coming up to the above the windows of the second floor. And so just curious, how tall is that structure? That certainly seems like it would be higher than 18 feet.
So you're probably referring to the parapet again, which only runs along the street wall. And everything else, I mean, I can't speak to windows that are below the 18-foot that is enshrined in the
She's talking about
in the easement.
This goes
Correct.
here, right? This is what she's looking.
But the parapet only runs along the street wall.
Right, because the
So
back buildings create the edge. Tammy.
Tammy, can Vicky talk?
Why are you asking me? I'm just listening as long as it's one person at a time.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
So Tammy, this gentleman, Philip, has one more question. Is that okay with you? Tammy, I just wanted to make a strategy and run this by you while we're all here, but hold on, apparently there's one more person. Philip, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. I had a few other questions. We had a number of residents asking questions. One is, are the parapets don't seem to be legal in our light and air easement. So whether they're on the street or whether they're inboard of the street, the parapets exceed the 18 feet, which is in our light and air easement. So those don't appear to comply. So that's one issue that we have. We also want to understand what the proposed development and entitlement schedule is. What is the procedure? How did they get to the board now, and what is the procedure moving forward so that we can advise our constituents?
What was that follow-up question about?
What is the land use procedure? How did this
There's
get?
no
to-
land use procedure here. There's no land use action.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
the community review procedure.
Okay, so that's gonna end at the end of this month. You can come to the full board meeting and express the same concerns that you were not notified. And hopefully by then you'll be notified. Our full board meeting is on the 25th, right? And so hopefully our fellow architects here will go and tell their clients that their neighbors are not necessarily objecting, but want to be more involved in this development process. But what will end up happening is it'll go to that full board meeting on the 25th, and we'll have our resolution, it'll be voted on, and then.
24th, Jason.
Oh, the 24th.
It's the holiday month. We're on the 24th.
Then I believe that will be taken to LPC, where it will immediately be thrown into a wastebasket, and then they'll make a ruling on what they feel about the project themselves, the commission of the Landmarks Commission. So that would be another opportunity where you can come out and talk about it, but I'm hoping that these guys are gonna get back in touch with you all, and everyone will be happy.
Right, we typically,
She's welcome.
it's not always.
And just one quick follow-up. Who is the owner or developer?
Ariston Development Group. I'm meeting with them tomorrow.
It's called Air, how do you spell it?
ARISTON.
ARI, and who is the principal of that entity who you've been dealing with?
Constantine Photos, Photos.
Okay.
No, it's all the same stuff.
Mr. Parker, we're gonna hit you up with your final question out here. What do you got, Philip?
And let me unmute. It was just to reiterate that we had not been given any notice either. It doesn't seem that anyone has, so that's fine. Also, I did want to know in the kind of the geometry of the facade, these attenuated arches, could you discuss the base or the bottom of that? Are you implying that there's some kind of an arcade that's accessible behind them rather than a base of a building, or why the particular width? They're a very curious proportion that I would love to hear more about your reasoning. Thank you.
So we are pushing for as much depth to that facade as possible and some kind of streamlined storefront windows to create that depth. We don't want it to look too shallow, because then those look like kind of faux facades. The base, do you mean how it meets the sidewalk? Because, I mean, right now we're in discussion with different companies in terms of testing. Precasting terracotta into concrete is relatively new. There's a couple companies that have the testing available for it. Obviously, no one's gonna do kind of their own testing for a building of this size. And so basically, we'll defer to them if we have to do kind of a granite kind of footing that meets the ground, we will, and color match it as closely as possible, if that answers your question.
Thank you for that. Okay, anybody else in the room, just to give everybody a chance? Carl, no, nothing?
I'm sort of curious, okay, if somehow that school doesn't, make it, what else can go with that?
Right. So basically that came up with LPC, and they'd like us to study it without the screens, should someone want more kind of visibility in that storefront. But it's a very shallow pool. It could be infilled regularly. It would still always be as of right commercial.
But that facade would remain, it would still look like that, I mean, so.
Okay, good, okay.
So I wanted to make a summary, Tammy.
Yep.
And, because I think this is a two-pronged, issue. We're gonna start with our mandate here, which is landmarks. And how does this proposal fit within the, contextual, district? And I think that from what I've discussed and see here, that we're not happy with this. The architecture expression is not conducive to our historical district. On the other issue of lack of information, the understanding of these easements and any other related issues like, windows, what is the existing window, what is not the existing window, what is going to happen when this proposal gets built, that we, in our resolution state that this is not in our purview, but as a community, we would like to, reach out and request that landmarks or, whoever kind of slows this process down, and maybe, ask that the owner speak to the adjacent neighbors, and that that is our way as a community to help, until they get informed. Does that sound like a reasonable proposal?
Tammy, what do you think? That sounds very reasonable to me.
So my question for the applicant is, when are they anticipating to go back to LPC? And where is the timeline and the rush? And if they could give me more clarity on that, because from, just understand where I'm coming from, you've presented tonight. You've had several people from the community who are neighbors who have shown up and saying they haven't seen the information. They're challenging the Kramer-Levin supposition on the setbacks and the easements and everything else that comes with it. So I think it's a little bit unfair for Community Board 1 to be able to weigh in without, we can weigh in and say, here are all the issues that have been raised by everybody, but we don't think that we can provide accurate feedback if the information and the suppositions are actually not correct. And that's what I'm hearing. So we can provide feedback, but would you potentially consider going back, looking at everything, speaking with the neighbors, and then coming with slide explanation details of where on each section for each building that's come up as a, hey, that's my building, that's not accurate. For example, the windows and things like that, where it all fits. Would you come back to us next month?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to the client about that. We're meeting, like I said, tomorrow. LPC had said that they could get us in mid-December, either the 10th or the 17th, to avoid losing a month, because the trick here is kind of the litmus test of LPC as well, right? It is a contentious facade, it's a new building, and we need to be sure what we're building.
That's our second component.
Right. And then in relation to the easements, I mean, it's in everyone's interest that this is not challenged once construction is started, obviously. So we would.
Well, that would be silly, yeah. If we
Obviously, we want to ensure, like, especially if we have real estate lawyer kind of in the room as a neighbor, I think we want to make sure that everyone's understanding of the interpretations of the three documents is correct.
And I mean, we understand that you hired an attorney who's going to do the best that he can for the client to give the most amount, because that's what the client wants, right? The client's looking for the largest building that they can build and whatever he can get. So the statement from the lawyer fits within the purview of the desires of the client. And that's, that's what every client would like. I think my concern is you're going super fast. How on earth did you get confirmation and then you're going to LPC in 2.5 weeks? Really? How long were you working with them on this building?
With LPC or the lawyer?
Both.
LPC, the last 3 weeks? 3 weeks.
Well, on the issue of, historical district appropriateness.
I think you're right, Vicky. I think we have to do it as two separate things. And I think we do have to opine immediately, because I don't have any faith and confidence that they would wait a month to talk to the neighbors.
That's right. So I think, our resolution in terms of the landmark appropriateness, I think we can take a vote on that tonight, and I'm sorry, I cannot say yes. I mean, of all the gin joints in the world, you'll have to go and, you show us historical references, and then you use none of it. What did you use? The idea of an arch? I mean, really? There's a million other things. And you were in a historical district. It's just how it goes. So, for that part, we could write a resolution, but as a community, we can, go into the area of supporting our fellow community folks by saying you were not treated, you were not, well and provided information. It is not the architect's job. It is your owner, right? Like you guys with your next door neighbor. And we can support that, right? We can support that. We can write a resolution saying that, we can't stop this. Landmarks will, not be able to weigh in on legal things either, like in terms of easements and windows. And if you bought windows that are not legal and now your next door neighbor is doing what he legally or she can actually do, that's a separate issue, right? It's like too bad we bought. I've had projects where this happened, but it's not ours to comment on these things or help you or guide you with the legal stuff, but we could support you and ask that no decision be made until a moratorium is put so that you get more information, because better you do this now than later on. That would be my way of.
Can you remind me, who is the owner of that building again? Apologies.
Ariston Development Group.
Ariston?
Harrison, okay. Who wants someone?
And they have not reached out to the neighbors at all? Is that right?
I can't answer that.
I mean, the architect thinks not, and the neighbors are here, and there's, people on the phone, pardon?
That was our board president.
And that was the board president, so obviously, they had not, reached out at all to get any engagement, not approval, just engagement, so people know what's going on, how long it's going to take. And I think that, they should have done that, obviously.
Okay, we have one more person online, then we're gonna close it up.
We're gonna close it.
Michael Schmidt. Yeah, that's right. Michael Schmidt, please, tell us what you want to say. Yes, Michael.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name's Michael Schmidt. I'm actually an architect and I live at 90 Hudson Street. And I think everything is presented by my neighbors in One Worth, 10 Leonard, is absolutely true. We have not been notified. The first we heard of this was 5 days ago, I think. But my question to you is this, because I have presented to Community Board 1 and Landmarks, as other projects. It's my understanding, what we're requesting is more time to be able to understand this and be able to speak to the owner of the property so that we can all be on the same page. It's my understanding they cannot present at a public hearing in Landmarks unless Community Board 1 passes a resolution either for or against this. But it's not your obligation to pass a resolution today. You could say we are deferring this till next month. And that would allow us to have time to work with the developer without having to rely on this kind of fast-tracked approval process in the middle of the holidays, by Landmarks. That's my only request. Is that a possibility?
Okay, Mike, I'm gonna answer that for you. No, we really can't hold it over because you guys have not gotten notice, because it's not necessarily a requirement at this stage for you to have notice. This is the notice, actually. So, but it sounds like we're gonna put in our resolution that we don't like the look of this. It's not contextual. And we're also gonna say, please, please, please do not move this a step more forward without engaging better your adjacent neighbors. And then that message, for whatever it's worth, will be delivered to the Commission of Landmarks. And if they feel the same way, then then maybe they'll stop this from being built. But hopefully, after tonight, the owners will get in touch with you because they want to play ball and they want to be good neighbors, and they're going to get all this message back from their architect presenters.
Mr. Schmidt, we are not the final say. We are a recommendation. Landmark commissioners have the final say.
Okay, call the question.
I fully
And let me just add, hold on, before you finish that and take the vote, let me just add one thing for Mr. Schmidt. If we say nothing, that's worse. It is better for us to go on record, even if we're saying we think it needs more time, because if we say nothing, then there is no opinion.
That's what my proposal is, right? I said that we're going to make a recommendation that this all be slowed down so that the community can reach out and the owners can discuss this. That's our, free, like, what is it? That's what we can do as a community board for our fellow community people. And we will do that. Our resolution will, reflect this.
Let's got one more comment.
Yeah, I'd just like to know, it was already asked and I don't feel like it was fully answered. Why is there such a hurry?
A what?
Why is it so quick? Why go so quick?
Because time is money.
Let
People
the
are trying to
gentleman
make this-
answer.
well, that's a common sense one. Not that I mean, uncommon sense. In business, they want to rush and get it done.
Well, and in relation to that, anytime it's month-long increments, which adds up very quickly for a small building that's a core and shell kind of project. Right? We kind of need to get into viability, buildability, what LPC thinks of it, in order to kind of move forward and commit more resources to developing it.
This is a problem site. It's been a problem site for a long time.
Okay.
That's not our problem though.
Call
But
the
it's
question.
the community problem. I call it.
You have to be clear, you have to be clear on the record,
We are going to
motion
be
is-
writing a negative resolution with a very strong recommendation that the parties that border this site get together and agree on the boundaries and the compliances, and that everything's being done as of right from this point on. You wrote all that down, right?
Yes, and Vicky,
I second.
thank you. Any abstentions, any recusals? Abstain, anybody abstain? Motion carries 4 in favor to reject the project.
Who gets this television?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, was
Sorry,
I,
this
Close it out.
new business, old business, and do you want to close it out, sir?
Yeah, close the.
Okay, second.
Motion to adjourn, second.
And what's going on with my television?